Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Breaking news just come from Matt Law. I think he was the first person to break it. I'm not sure if he was. I'll take a look at Fabrizio and other journalists, but the first person I saw to break this news on the Telegraph was Matt Law. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Big up everybody in the chat. Pochettino, as you can see in the title, has left Chelsea by mutual consent. That's the news that's just broke. What does that even mean? They've come to an agreement, apparently, according to, that title, that kind of rhetoric is that they've come to an agreement between themselves that mutually they can no longer continue. Has that meeting already taken place? I'm guessing so. Maybe it wasn't a very long exchange. We all spoke about the last couple of days about what that meeting was going to be. Is it going to come down to medical, the medical handling of the squad? Who's at fault for the injuries this season, which have played a massive part as to why we are potentially missed out on lucrative Champions League football? Having 10 to 12 injuries in the squad per game. I'm going to stay consistent. I have no idea who is to blame for that, but somebody has to take responsibility for that. Injury crisis has been beyond ridiculous. I know other teams have struggled with it, but we've been by far and away the worst. And then obviously the not only the medical situation, but also the transfer situation and the recruitment. And everybody was asking, who is going to be responsible for that? Is it going to be a collaboration between the manager and the recruitment team? Is he going to get certain profiles or certain players that he wants? I'm of the belief that you do have to consult your manager on players. You do have to at least keep them in the loop with profiles and ask them what they need for the team. However, you're not going to give specific names and you're not going to give specific players because you're not a scout, you're not a director. And we've seen that previously with Klopp and Edwards, and him maybe wanting Julian Brandt and Mario Götze and getting Mane and Salah instead is obviously probably one of the most famous examples. So I would never want a manager to be just handpicking players. That's how you end up building a squad that really potentially leaves you with dead wood in a couple of years. But if they weren't going to even collaborate with him or let him, recommend profiles or weaknesses in the squad, then that might have been a sticking point. I don't know. I'm gonna go through this article if I can in a minute, and try and get to the cause or the root of the problem if it's been said. But that's the situation. We are now managerless. I'm kind of relieved that the whole situation is at least confirmed, because I wasn't really trying to see days and days and days of what if and what is happening and is he staying, is he going. I do want a quick decision and resolution on it. I think the players out of everybody is going to be probably the most disappointed with this news. I don't know about the fan base. I saw 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, majority of people were Pochettino out, especially after Arsenal away. Then suddenly the mood switched after the 5 wins, and it was the majority was Pochettino in. I was tossing up between the briefings of the managers, the 5 names coming up on the sheet, the McKennas, all of these names. Is that just to kind of get the fan base to kind of, I don't know, similar to last summer where we had Postecoglou, we had company. If you give us less appetizing names, are we going to kind of fall in line and appreciate keeping Pochettino? Are we going to, be more on side with keeping him if you don't give us world-class names? Of course, you can only, eat the food that's in front of you. And if you only give us names that are, beneath the level of the club where we're trying to get to, then obviously we're going to end up compromising and being happy with what we have. I thought that was potentially what they were doing, but it's clearly not. It's clearly not. They're actually seriously moving on from the manager. They're moving on from the manager. Listen, I know some people will celebrate it. I never celebrate really manager sackings. I didn't with Potter, Lampard. I don't tend to celebrate it because I don't like to see it. And I'm more concerned about not Pochettino himself. It is what it is. He hasn't built up any credit here for anyone to be crying over this. To be honest, it's not like even a Tuchel previously, who had built up so much love and respect with the fan base, who got a banner, had won a Champions League, a Club World Cup, an Ancelotti who did a double for us, a Mourinho. We've had so many successful managers. I'm not going to be pulling my hair out over Pochettino, that's for sure. We move. However, I am a bit concerned over who we're going to bring in. I am a bit concerned over who is actually going to replace him and what the what is the requirements needed for the manager of Chelsea Football Club under this ownership. What do they actually want? Because if we're going to bring in someone who's not ready for the job, we potentially are starting from scratch again in pre-season. And based upon who leads this team, the expectations are going to unfortunately have to match who is leading the team. If it is the former or if it is the current Ipswich manager, I'm not going to probably put us in the race for top four. I'll be honest. If it is a top experienced manager, if it was even a Thomas Tuchel, I know he's had a terrible season at Bundesliga, but just an example who's available in the market, I would put us in the top four. Not to say he's perfect, but obviously he's got pedigree and he's got experience. So I don't know, man. De Zerbi has just been, relinquished of his duties at Brighton as well. Apparently, one Premier League club have paid. I think it was around about roughly 4 million clause that obviously he still has with Brighton, because even though he's leaving, they still have you still have to negotiate with Brighton to take him out of there. It seems like some Premier League club has paid that. Is that Chelsea who have paid that money? Is it Manchester United who have paid that money? I mean, I wouldn't count us out. We have taken so many people from Brighton since this ownership have come in. We literally have their sporting directors. We have their goalkeeping coach. We have their players, 3 of them, I think. We have so much of their previous staff behind the scenes. We just brought in Sam Duell as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if we completely rounded it all off by bringing in De Zerbi, which is not the most expensive clause to pay in comparison to Graham Potter, which cost us £20 million. And I think it was a £12 million a year, 5-year deal. We're not going to be doing that again. That's for sure. But it wouldn't surprise me if De Zerbi would be the person coming in. And we, on All You Can Eat Chelsea, I kept saying it. It's not to say that a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the successor to Pochettino, it's not to say that I'm particularly overly excited about De Zerbi, because listen, I don't know how his management style is going to translate to us. Obviously, he plays some really good football, but there is more to that. There's more to it than that in this job. There's a lot of other finer details, pressure, 2 games a week we will be playing in Europe. All of those things to contend with, to deal with that. I'm interested to see if he can handle that pressure, if it is him. But this is crazy, people. This is absolutely crazy. I'll be real. This is mad. This is absolutely mad. It wasn't my choice, that guy, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, there's just so much that aligns. Former players, Mudryk. There's so much that aligns that makes it look like it could be him. Let's go through. I mean, we're going to go through all the chats. So get your chats in. I'm going to be reading them out. Obviously, I'm going to go through the super chats first. I want to get as many opinions from you guys as possible whilst I'm still going on. But with Pochettino, it was always one of those situations where I felt like everybody did need to take responsibility. I still don't sit here and think that all of our problems are solved just because he's out the door. I don't really feel that bad for him, because there were so many things he did this season that did annoy me. And I did try to be I think I critiqued him quite a lot, actually. I think I critiqued him more than I praised him throughout the season, even though he was the manager that I wanted, because he did do a lot of things that I didn't agree with. Obviously, Maatsen was one of those things. How we dealt with the Maatsen situation, I don't think was very wise, considering who we actually have at left back in the ranks, and considering the tactical versatility that he could have brought to the team going forward. I think he could have even inverted. But, he's now in a final of the Champions League, and that's water for ducks back. We're not going to be able to bring him back on that clause unless the manager that comes in potentially does want to revive Maatsen's career at Chelsea. I think now, the ramifications of this, if we're just quickly to get into the players, I think Maatsen has a stronger chance of being here. I think that's easy to say. That's 1 + 1 = 2. Ian Maatsen was never really going to stay under Pochettino. He wasn't going to use him at left back. Now that the manager is gone, the new manager that comes in, they might take a look at him. I think Gallagher's chances of staying just decreased. To be honest, I think Gallagher and Chalobah's chances of staying just decreased, because the new manager that comes in is definitely going to have to know that the board and the club are looking to make profit off of these 2 players. They have wanted to do that for years. And if you're coming in, I'm assuming you're not going to be butting heads with them about such a clear, obvious point. The whole issue with this management and this marriage of this ownership or these directors with this managers that they were not singing off the same song sheet. And we've been saying that for weeks, regardless of the results. If you don't want to keep Gallagher and you don't want to keep Trevor Chalobah, sorry, I keep always bringing up his brother, who used to play for Chelsea as well. If you're not looking to keep the players that he values and that he wants, if you're not building a more P&P team as opposed to a very technically, hopefully gifted team, then you're not really going in the same ideology as the manager. It's almost like giving Klopp. I'm not comparing Pochettino to Klopp because they're nowhere in the same stratosphere, but just as an example, it's almost like giving Klopp loads of fragile but yes, technical players when he wants to play rock and roll back and forth. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to sit here and say that Pochettino is a terrible manager after this stint, but the two were not in the same. They were not singing from the same song sheet. They were not aligning. It wasn't making sense. And regardless of what he wanted, if he wanted a striker to come in January to kind of rotate or to back up Jackson, that whole debacle where we basically weakened our team, we ended up bringing nobody in and having Washington. If they disagreed on that and he kept his mouth shut and kept it stepping, again, it just goes to show that we're not going in the same direction. And that's not the comparison that you can make in press conferences, as I said, week after week with a Klopp and Edwards. Even though they have had their disagreements with recruitment, Edwards always brought in players that suited Klopp. Edwards knew more than Klopp in terms of recruitment. He's scouted and found better players than Klopp in terms of recruitment. If you want to go off the basis that Klopp has obviously brought in the Szoboszlais and the Darwin Núñezes since Edwards has not been there. But at least Edwards was recruiting for Klopp. At least Edwards was not selling some of Klopp's most valuable starters. And the same applies with Tiki and Pep, and the same applies with Edu and Arteta. It's not to say that those managers are the ones picking out each individual player, but they are clearly saying, this is the profile that I need. This is the way that I play football, and it's your job to go and find the players that suit that. We are not doing that. We are not buying players that suit or what Poch football is like. We are not trying to keep players that he values and respects or wants in the team. Now, personally, I can understand that. I can understand that because it's not like as if he's on some long contract. I don't think we've fully even bought into him, to be honest. He's signed a 2-year deal with an option of a third before this sacking or whatever you want to call it. Does it make sense to fully back someone that you may even sack next year at the end of next season? What I was feeling on All You Can Eat Chelsea today was that even if we did keep him, it was inevitable that he would probably leave next season anyway. People are talking about give him the first 10 games. If we don't like what we see, then sack him. I don't think you should be starting a season thinking about sacking someone inside 10 games. You either want to go into the season with them or you don't. So if you're going to go into the season with Pochettino next season, you have to give him, you should be thinking to give him the whole season. But it felt like the writing was on the wall that even if you did keep him next season, if you're not going to actually move the squad in a direction that suits him, then it is futile. And after spending the amount of money we've spent, can we actually afford to switch up the squad as much as we'd need to maybe go in his direction as well? I don't think so. And that maybe is the reason why we've seen so many players misprofiled. Maybe that is the reason why we've seen him try to force Enzo into this kind of shuttle bus second striker at sometimes 10, which was infuriating me beyond all belief. Is this midfield really his midfield? I think it's pretty obvious that it isn't. Would he prefer someone taller, more stronger, more robust in that midfield? More Onana at Everton like, more Nemanja Matic at Chelsea previously than what he has, Wanyama and Dyer and Dembele, as opposed to Enzo? Probably yes. So, it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me today. I'm very concerned about who comes in next. I'm very concerned about where we sit on the market when other managers look at us and look at our ownership, because we've sacked so many people at a record rate. Can I just say, for an ownership that have come in, and yes, they've wanted to do things very differently to Roman. You've sacked more managers than Roman in a record time since you've come in, and you've spent more money than Roman, obviously with inflation, but in record time since you've come in. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at after Pochettino to get this club going back in the right direction, because you can't sit here and say that he is the only issue at the club. I personally wouldn't believe it. I really wouldn't. he's one of the issues based upon everything that he's done this season in terms of certain decisions with his tactics, certain late subs, like we said, misprofiling of players, coming out in press conferences and saying one thing this week and saying the next. And I mean, there's been even some comments on yesterday's video, or was it the review video? People saying, you know, I think actually on All You Can Eat Chelsea this morning, we were having the conversation, and some people in the comments were like, why are you having this conversation? Why are YouTube content creators trying to make something out of nothing by talking about nonsense reports? Obviously, Pochettino is staying. I'm afraid to tell you, you have egg on your face this evening. You have real egg on your face. These reports were legit. These reports needed to be discussed this morning, and rightly so, because now we're in a situation where we're managerless. So I'm not gonna lie, you have to hold that. To the brother I was debating with back and forth, you have to hold that, because the way you were talking in the comments, you would have thought that I committed a crime today talking about Pochettino's future. So you are gonna have to hold that, and I will be commenting later on. But let's read some super chats. Personally, I'm gonna tell you, I don't think Thomas Tuchel is an option. Okay, I know some people are spamming Thomas Tuchel, please come home. I think De Zerbi is very likely. He wants to stay in the Premier League on quotes. I don't think Thomas Tuchel is working under this ownership as much as he wants to come back to the Premier League. I don't think this ownership are necessarily going to, you know, go back on what they've done and maybe accept that they got that decision wrong and rewrite the wrongs. I also don't even think this squad suits Thomas Tuchel. I'll be very honest. I do think this team could play in a back three, but there would have to still be some adjustments, and they would still have to make some tweaks to the team. And the recruitment strategy could not just be kids, because I know Tuchel wants warriors. He loves his Rudigers, etc. But I do think this team could play in a back three. I've said that before. I think Maatsen is very capable on the wing back. I think Reece James could be very capable in the back three. I think Nkuku could play as an inside forward with Cole Palmer, with a striker just in front. And I think the protection of the third centre back helps Enzo and Caicedo. So I do think these things can work. I'm not afraid of the back three. You guys know this. I'm really not too fussed on formation. It's really how you play it. Pep plays a back three. We've seen it before. We saw Foden at wing back, I think, last season. It's at Anfield. It's how you play it, not, you know, what formation you're playing necessarily. You know, Conte's back three to Pep's is you know, completely different. Madaweke's posted a picture with him and Pochettino saying thank you. I'm going to just bring it up on screen now. Like I said at the start of the show, I think a lot of the players are going to be really bummed out. I think they really did enjoy working with him. I brought up the point on All You Can Eat Chelsea that I'm not just trying to see necessarily an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation where the players are just happy to work with him because he's a very nice guy, or because he defends them maybe publicly, or because they don't feel the disciplinary side of things, or they don't feel the authoritarian side of things with the penalty situation, which I was really pissed with as well. I don't want it to just be a happy family. Of course, we need it to be a unit, and they need to be pulling in the same direction, but there still has to be some base level of you know, standard as well that has to come with that. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But I do think the players are going to be pissed. I'll be real. I think the players, not that maybe some people say who gives a damn, but you know, they were clearly playing for him in the last 5 games. Once they maybe felt that, you know, the pressure was on, they maybe stepped up a little bit, obviously the tweaking of the system. But I do think that the players are going to be gutted. All we heard was the players want him to stay and they want him to continue into next season. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, even the Forest performance, the Bournemouth performance at the weekend was not great. I said on my review, I felt like it was a blast from the past. 22 shots conceded at home. Felt very reminiscent of performances from months ago. People will say that we played teams that were on the beach as well at the end of the season. So how much stock can we take from just 5 games? The answer is we shouldn't take too much stock, because obviously the season is 38 games long. But you know, there's so many emotions, so many feelings going through my head right now, so many thoughts. Most of it is shame, a bit of shame. I'll be real. You know, I'm not proud of us. I'll be real. I'm not very proud of us. It's nothing to do with Pochettino as an individual. You know, I already kind of apologized for that earlier on in the season, made my skit, kicked myself out my own studio and kept it moving. And, you know, from Wolves onwards, I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't very much flying the flag. Let's be real. But I do think that once again, we look extremely unstable to the footballing world. People will say, why will we care? You know, because managers talk, and managers talk to managers, and you know, they're a union. You know, they're like one big union. And I do think the reason why we will struggle to obtain the top managers is because they've seen the constant cycle of managers coming in and out. And it's not like Roman, because people are not winning trophies right now. They're not being given world-class players. They're being given standards, expectations, pressure from the fan base with kids. And on top of that, they're not given any say, it seems, in the recruitment as well. So it's not, I know it's London and it's Chelsea and it's, you know, we're big and we're bad, but it's not the most desirable job for a manager that wants to protect their reputation and wants to think long and hard about their next steps, because you could be set up to kind of fail a little bit. And especially with the medical team, if it's not Pochettino's fault, then we're going to find out next season. Because if that medical situation doesn't improve drastically, then who's going to be held accountable now? You know, someone's got to be held accountable. Kingsley says these dumb owners better know what they're doing. This is why you cannot rest, Matisse. No naps, bro. I was actually about to start on playback. We were going to have a interrogation of the Pochettino situation, almost, and evaluate the whole season from start to finish. But obviously, once I saw the news, I said, "Listen, I'm sorry, brothers, but I have to come to YouTube. YouTube, you know, this is the priority. We have to be here for these moments." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to now speak to them later. We're going to have to push that stream back a bit, and we'll now discuss it with this new information that's come out today." But yeah, you can't rest. Get TT back, otherwise it's peak, another bottom half season loading. I've been saying on Big Six, I've said on DR, I know he's finished the season absolutely horrendously in the Bundesliga, finishing in third, but Thomas Tuchel was kind of our mini Klopp, you know, in terms of the feeling that we had amongst a fan base and the unity that we had with this manager. And I always felt like people disrespected him, took him for granted, didn't pay him his dues. I'm not saying he was perfect, you know, in that preseason, in the last campaign that he was sacked in terms of some of the decisions he was looking like he was going to make. Some of his talent ID is very, very questionable, very stinky. However, I always remind people he never wanted to he never wanted to be involved in the recruitment, and it was actually the other way around. I find it so ironic that right now we're begging managers to shut the fuck up and stop getting involved in the recruitment and just let them get on with their business. And obviously, under different circumstances under Tuchel, that brother did not want any business with the recruitment, and they could not stop messaging him for opinions and answers and who should we sign and who do we need. So the whole situation from start to finish is so ironic. The only thing this guy wanted to do was coach after what was a very, very straining, stressful season. The most probably in our recent history. Having to go through those personal issues with his family, with his wife, I believe. Having to deal with the Lukaku situation publicly when I think he actually wanted Hairline as a preference in the summer before. Having to deal with the change of ownership and probably the most stressful period as a Chelsea fan, let alone Chelsea manager, while still getting us to cup finals, while still having us compete. I think he was massively disrespected. I still think he is massively disrespected for his Chelsea stint. And in the end, you know, 2 penalty shootouts and he's literally almost completed every single trophy haul. He's almost completed the trophy haul in 18 months. And we all know that Lukaku's goal should have stood. So listen, I fine margins in football, but all I would say is the guy deserves a lot more respect than he gets. And you know, if you're talking about an emotional attachment, I know that was one of the points that Lewis made earlier on in Twitter. I did respond, and then people started spamming the shit out of my comments saying, "Yo, he's sacked, he's sacked, he's sacked." I was like, what? Listen, I have no issue with Pochettino not lying to the people and saying that he loves the club. I know he doesn't love the club, so I'm not really shocked. But Tuchel did love the club. And that's, as a football fan, outside of just winning and obviously, you know, wanting us to be successful and to be top dogs, having some sort of emotional attachment to your manager is a bonus. But when you have it, it's definitely not something to be disrespecting and underestimating. The guy was fucking Chelsea, do you know what I'm saying? Regardless, and he's not a bad tactician. I know he's had an absolutely horrendous season in the end in the league campaign for Bayern, but you know, I don't think he's just become a bad coach overnight. But that's just my opinion. You guys are so finished, no stability in your club. Let me blast through super chats. Keep your comments coming in. I'll go to the comments after. Amorim or Nagelsmann. Otherwise, we're fucked. I can tell you now, Nagelsmann's not happening. That happened. That whole situation with Nagelsmann already crashed and burned last summer. If we were going to get Nagelsmann, it would have been when Christopher Vavell was actually already one of the directors. And the issue became too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't think Christopher Vavell actually felt any sort of power or any sort of say so or responsibility in the recruitment, because he wanted certain things that Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart didn't. So obviously in the end, you may as well just leave, because you're not going to get to do your job to the level that you think you can. And obviously, once you get rid of Christopher Vavell, who worked with Nagelsmann, I don't see how Nagelsmann comes in. And obviously, they never agreed anyway. So with Almiron, I don't know what's going on with him, because, you know, he was meant to go to Liverpool. Then he accidentally had an interview with West Ham, apologized for it, said he's staying at Sporting. However, take managers in this era, if you have never taken it previously, but in this era in particular, don't listen to them, because their words are worth fuck all. Clearly, I mean, De Zerbi has literally told us he's staying, and then he's gone and found himself as well. Mutual consent. He finds himself in the running for jobs. So yeah, let's not. These managers are moving like players, bro. They're ready to move. They're ready to move clubs, bro. These managers are moving like players right now. Pochettino came in with an objective of reaching top 4. You got to give credit to the owners. They set a bar and they're not budging up the Chelsea. Listen, I think there's many ways to look at the campaign. And this is why on this channel, I always encourage as many perspectives as I can. I always try to do as many collabs as possible. I know, you know, people will never be satisfied, but I think the majority of people who watch me understand that I actually do want to hear everybody's opinion, and I can see where everybody's coming from in terms of their different points of view. Because like I said, this has been a very bipolar season. It's been a very up and down season, a lot of downs. The one thing I will say with this is because of the amount of players that we've had out, you would assume that 100% if they're available, you're in top 4. However, and I did say this on the last game, those Sheffield United and Burnley games are just not acceptable. They're just not acceptable. If you had been dropping points to Manchester City, you know, as we did, but we got 2 draws. If we had fell off by not being able to compete with the top teams in the league, and we actually did okay against some of the top teams, right? Then I think people would have understood that, okay, if we had a bit more quality in the team, then we would have made up that gap and we would have been there. But to not beat Sheffield United and Burnley, one of those 2 teams having 10 men, and some of the other points that have been dropped due to, you know, maybe substitutions, tweaks, players being misprofiled. We've had Chilwell on the left wing. We've had Gallagher on the wing. We've had Enzo in the 10. We've had Colwell at left back. We've had Disasi at right back against Brentford. This is just shit that's coming off the top of my head. We've had some wild misprofiling. The injuries have to play a part. That has to be put down as an asterisk as to, yeah, the medical team or himself, whoever is responsible, that has hampered us. But we know that we could have actually made top 4 if we had actually just pulled our finger out our arse in some of the most easiest fixtures you will get in Premier League history. You know, Sheffield United have conceded 104 goals. They beat the record that Swindon had in 1994. You know, there is no excuse for not beating them. People were beating them 6, 7s, 8s, bro. You know, it's crazy. So it's mad. It is mad. But the injuries are mad as well. I don't want to leave this season without saying that the injuries are unacceptable as well. I think whoever is responsible, whether it's the medical team or whoever, they are also under massive scrutiny going into next season. These injuries cannot continue. We have a massive cap on this team if we can't get people consistently fit. How are people getting injured without playing matches? How are people getting injured from 2 press conferences? We're doing expected 2 injuries per press conference. That was a calculation I did months ago, and it actually became the facts. Like, that's crazy. If we keep signing, we can put up our 11, we can sign players, and we can think, right, on paper, everything's fine. If these players don't play, if they're injured, if Lavia comes in with all of the excitement I had and still have, and he only plays like 30 minutes in a season, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere serious, because obviously top 4 was whatever the target. We're not interested in top 4. I'm not interested in top 4. If Pep is leaving in 2025, 25, 26, I want to be there. Maybe I'm doing too much, but that should be the goal. That should be the target. You know, we should be aiming to be up there contending for a league title after Pep has potentially gone at the end of next season, because we know we can't compete for one this season. That's just being honest, right? There's no chance, absolutely no chance. But 25, 26, if we were going by the book, if we were going step by step with all of the different phases, we should be challenging in 25, 26. Any longer than that, and you're doing something wrong. With all of the money spent, you're doing something wrong, right? You're not doing something right. So I don't want to waste too much time, man. I want to be up there. I want to be up there winning, man. Like, you know, it's all fun and games. You see the banter, obviously. You know, we're asking for favors to protect London and whatnot, and preying on our rivals' downfall. But you know, I don't get any. There's no smiles being cracked when City are out here lifting titles. The only reason why I can cope with it and contend with it is because at least I know my rivals ain't picking up shit, and I ain't gonna wish them well in their pursuit against Man City. The only people that need to stop Man City over here on this channel is us. Do you know what I'm saying? The only people that need to stop Man City is us, bro. But we need to hurry up, because at some point someone else is gonna snag something, and we ain't gonna be able to do shit about it if we keep fucking around. So I want us to be the ones that do it. And right now you know, Pep is biding us some time, but we're gonna run out of time soon, man. We're gonna run out of time very soon. We need to hurry up. To be honest, you know, I don't do 10-year processes, bro. I'll be real. Big up for the super chat. The club only wants a yes man, not a serious club. This is such an interesting one, because the way that Pochettino was starting to talk towards the end of the campaign was starting to win over a lot more people, because he was more outspoken and he was starting to call out some of the things that we would agree with, right? Maybe we feel we need more experience in the team. I think we do. I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about experience. Two different things. You can be 22-year-old who's played 4 years of football. Foden, for instance, is a more experienced player than Mikhailo Mudryk. I think Foden and Mudryk are the same age, but they're two parallel difference in terms of experience. So when we're talking about experience, we're not talking about age. We're talking about experience. I think we can all agree that the team needs more experience, but top level, high level experience, right? To guide some of these wishy-washy up and down players. He was starting to say things that were actually making sense. Now, that didn't last long, because I'm pretty sure he ended up saying something that didn't make sense probably 20 minutes after he said something that made sense. But the point is, he was going somewhere. He was cooking something. He was cooking something. I was starting to do press conference reviews and say, actually, this wasn't that bad today. This press conference was actually all right. However, once you start to talk against the establishment, you, sir, are on borrowed time. And a lot of us felt that. A lot of you guys said it as well to me. This is all well and good, but this ain't looking good. And, you know, look where we're at. So, you know, for a club that want to collaborate so much, we sure ain't hearing a lot of collaboration right now. It sounded like more of a dictatorship, but hey, there's a lot of briefs, there's a lot of PRs, there's a lot of control. You know what I mean? There's a lot of control. It's kind of crazy. We're about to learn the meaning of the phase from the frying pan into the fire. Like I said, it's the players that I wanted some continuity for. I'll be real. It wasn't really the manager, because I have, like I said, criticized him a lot this season. And I couldn't really just switch that off after 5 games. I was happy with the 5 wins and to get up to 6th. But there was 32 games where we had to really question what the heck is going on here at times. But the players, I don't know if this helps them. That's my concern. My 2 concerns is this going to help the playing group, and who is replacing this man? Those are my 2 massive questions, because if it's not going to help the playing group and they are not going to be better off for it, they are the ones that cost $1 billion. They are the ones that are the investments, says Todd Bowie. They're the ones that have they hold value, and their assets. Have we helped our assets? I hope so. I can't tell you yes or no. It depends on who comes in. But I hope we have, because they are, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, those players, after spending that amount of money on them with them long contracts, they are the most important people right now. Nobody else. Because those players, even if you don't see long-term futures for them, you can't be making losses on all of them. So you have to develop them by force. Whoever comes in has to be able to develop these players by force. It's not optionable. It's not optional. It's not negotiable. It's not negotiable. It's by force. You have to develop them. You have to. If you don't, you won't get results. It's literally yin and yang. Either you develop them, improve them, and see upturn in results, or you don't develop them and you don't get results. Simple. Because they're not world class. They're not the level required. They need to be worked on. They need to be fed, clothed. They need to be housed. they need to be nourished, bro. Right now, it's a very sticky one. I'll be honest. It's a very sticky one. It's a sticky one still. Club must be a mess behind doors. Scary times. I can't wait to see who the next manager is. And I don't say that with excitement. I say that with nerves, a lot of nerves. Well, the big question is now, who's next? Is this a start over with an entire new philosophy? Ornaments will be built on just on the ended season. Listen, it's all in hindsight, because I guess as football fans, we don't always, maybe some of you guys, but you'd be nerds. I'll be real. You'd be more nerdy than me. We try to live in the moment as well. We're not meant to be, sitting there with notepads, making notes of every single intricate detail of the runnings of a football club day in, day out. We have lives. Like, we are meant to have lives anyway. So, in hindsight, when you look back, we all know how this is meant to go from top to bottom. When you sack a manager, and I'm going all the way back to Tuchel, you should really be bringing in a director who hires the manager after that suits the director's vision for the football club. We all know this. Sometimes we forget this when shit is going down and fire is brewing, but we all know this. We all know that the sporting director is meant to hire the manager, and that is meant to reflect that sporting director's vision of the club, and he is meant to then hire a consistent philosophy throughout each manager he brings in. They're meant to be a pattern, immersion, right? And therefore the recruitment makes sense throughout the whole way. Now, we didn't do that because we obviously sacked Tuchel, bring in Potter, then we start bringing in directors afterwards, signing players that don't match managers, and here we are with a mess. So can we actually start building in the correct way now? I have no idea, because I have no idea who the next manager is going to be. The shortlist is very concerning, and these players that have been brought in, the manager that comes in has to want to work with this group. There's a lot of talent in there, so I'm hoping that that will save us. But there is no choice here. You have to like that group. By force. You're not going to. You might get rid of 2, 3, 4 you don't like max. You're not getting rid of. You're not turning over a whole squad here. We're not doing that. You're about to lapse in your room. Oh, Jesus. No, bro, it's not happening, JJ. Like, I'll be real. I'm very confident in saying that it's not happening. That Tuchel's not coming back. If he does come back, then shit. My chair will flip upside down and my legs will be in the sky. And pause, don't do that. And I'll be shocked. I'll be red in the face. But I don't think that's gonna be the case, bro. I'll be real. I don't think that's gonna be the case. Wow, so much to discuss, man. So much to get into. I can't believe this has happened. I mean, we know this is gonna. We knew the news was coming tonight or tomorrow. People were saying. I was starting to mentally prepare for tomorrow, but here we are tonight. And I'm gonna drop a video tomorrow morning. I don't know on what, but I guess it'll be something managerial related. I'll check him now. Much appreciated. Let me just fly through these super chats. They're saying get to know Sebastian, the Stuttgart manager who ended up finishing second. Listen, I didn't get to watch Stuttgart. I saw Guirassi's season was very impressive. I was speaking about him in January as maybe a potential option, a short term at least. But he was injured, I think, when I dug down. I think he couldn't go to AFCON in the end, wasn't it? So he was one of the options that I thought we could bring in. 17.5 million, basically Washington money. And that's as far as I've gone with Stuttgart, just kind of looking at him and studying him a little bit, but I didn't really go into depth with the whole team and their whole 90-minute performances. So I'm not really sure on this guy. Some people are talking, really well of him. I'm open to anything now. I'm open to all ears. Well, I'm not open to anything. Don't talk to me about the Ipswich guy. I'll be dead serious. Don't talk to me about the Ipswich guy. I don't care what style of football he's playing in the Championship. I don't care what philosophy. Brother is not jumping from Ipswich to Chelsea. I swear down, it's not happening. It's not happening. But if you're talking to me about teams in the top flight of their divisions that have hopefully been winning a title or two or contesting, then talk to me. But, I would preface that they need to be able to get the best out of our midfield. Most importantly, I think Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo are three pillars in the foundations of the club that you've got to be able to work with if you're coming in. If you can't work with that midfield, I'd be slightly pushing you to the wayside, because we need to be getting the best out of those players, in my opinion. For you, I've got a gem at a great price, Ryan Mason. Yeah, you don't have nothing for me, brother. I'll be real. I'm not having that. I'm so confused by this. Unless TT's coming back to let Poch go after the turnaround to me makes sense. TT wanted word in transfers too, so why? He didn't. To my knowledge, he didn't want to be involved in transfers. I'm pretty sure he said that he wanted to not be involved in that. And he had a very good working relationship with Petr Cech, who also had to leave in that summer, or left in that summer, and that didn't help as well. So losing Rudiger on a free, who was massive in the dressing room, massive communicator for the boss, and losing Petr Cech, who was a massive communicator and a bridge between him and the ownership, and obviously losing the entire ownership. I don't think people actually deep the sudden change that Tuchel had to deal with, not only losing key players like Christensen and Rudiger on a free, but also then losing an entire hierarchy, which he was actually getting along with really well. But people just jump to the gun and say he's toxic and don't know how to work with people. I think it's lazy. I would much rather prefer Amorim over De Zerbi. So I personally think the team that we have built suits De Zerbi more than Amorim, but Amorim has won titles and De Zerbi hasn't, to my knowledge. I don't think he's won any titles. Maybe I'll go and check now, but I know Amorim definitely has won a couple of titles. So obviously, I think you've got to probably go with the guy that suits the team you've built, because that's most likely then going to get the best out of the players, therefore get you points and results. But I'm not 100% sure on De Zerbi. Like, I'm not flying the flag or anything. I'm just saying that I think with the players that we brought in, he's worked with a lot of them. I think he'll get the best out of an Enzo Caicedo midfield, if it's an Enzo Lavia or whatever type of midfield. I think his way of playing suits the guys that we have a lot more than Amorim. But yeah, again, what I'm not gonna do is get involved. I'll be real. I'm not getting involved. I fucked up. I fucked up already. I ain't involved, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you guys pick the manager this time. Let's see how this shit goes. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it goes a lot better. You guys pick the manager, and I'ma just comment on shit as I see it. You know what I mean? Next season, I'm taking a gardening leave. I think they call it, right? Gardening leave. I'm taking gardening leave from this conversation. Someone just said Emma Hayes. Oh, jeez. What happened? Is this right? Who comes in? No idea. Absolutely no idea. I have not a notion. I don't do that ITK thing. In these moments, a lot of people go straight to their contacts and say, right, give me some information on who's coming in. I don't give a damn. Never cared. Never been interested in that personally, because I'm just happy to find out at the same time you guys do. I enjoy the not knowing, I guess. I enjoy just knowing that I'm just a regular fan that has no idea what's going on, and I can just speak on it as a normal fan as I would. If I know too much of what's going on behind the scenes, it's gonna fuck with the way I want to articulate what I think. I'm gonna potentially build friendships with people inside the club that's gonna make me not want to criticize them, or I'm not into that. I'm not doing all that. So I prefer to just stand back and just only know what I see and what I'm given, and go from there. I don't want too much info from behind the scenes, because it gets real messy back there. Let's see. Half of the time the shit ain't even true, and then you basically just waste your time anyway. The amount of times ITKs be saying this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, and then that shit don't even happen. What was even the point? You know what I mean? May as well just not know in the first place. Summer was meant to be relaxing. What is this? It's never relaxing, bro. It's never relaxing. I'll be honest. It's never relaxing. It's never this club. You just have to always be ready. You can never rest. The players like this manager and fought for him. The decision depends on who we bring in next. McKenna, De Zerbi, be careful what you wish for. Flick interested in the job, so is Tuchel. I don't think Tuchel will happen. I don't think Flick will happen. If the reports are true, is that Chelsea want a young, inexperienced, high potential manager, which is the same as the playing squad. I don't know if we're planning to make a profit on managers. I don't know if we're looking to flip them, or what's going on. But then Flick is not going to be in the running. But we'll see what happens. Embarrassing by the ownership. 2 years, 6 managers. Chelsea job is looking like a death sentence. How can a team trust this model? Lost for words. We want Poch out. Ownership, okay, but trust the process. Fans, whoa, we actually look like a good team again. Ownership, fuck you. How are you? Happy, smiling? I'm worried, brother. You shouldn't look at me smiling as happiness. I always smile when have you never seen people smile when they're uneasy? You never seen that before? People always ask me that. Why are you smiling? Like, it doesn't always, smiling doesn't always showcase happiness. That's something you gotta know. It's not always a sign of I'm not taking any joy in this. I said that at the start of the season. If this manager was sacked, I think the directors who actually appointed him would also have to be held accountable. And I ain't gonna take any joy from sackings of any managers. That's just not how I operate. I don't cheer on the fact that we are now looking for another manager at a record rate. I don't cheer on the fact that we have put ourselves in a position where other managers, top managers, are looking at us thinking this is a poison chalice, and this is a job that you won't get any real backing or say in certain areas of recruitment, and then on top of that you won't be given world-class players, and then on top of that you'll be given nothing but kids to develop, and then on top of that there's still pressure, and rightly so, because it's Chelsea. It's a madness, an absolute madness. Just clocked that Poch's manager in Soccer Aid at the Bridge. Oh, brother, if there couldn't be any more irony to this, I swear that has got to be one of the biggest kicks in the teeth for this guy. This brother has to come back to the Bridge and manage a Soccer Aid. If I was him, I just say you can't make it, man. God damn, that is. Do you know, people, funnily enough, when that was announced, people were saying, does this guy realize that he may not be a Chelsea manager when he's managing at the Bridge for Soccer Aid? And I remember, because we weren't in good form, as we weren't for most of the season, and his job was always on the line, really, from New Year's onwards. I think from Wolves, obviously Wolves is when I snapped. Wolves onwards was, a whole nother level, but the cup final onwards was really that similar period. People said, you may not even be the Chelsea manager when you're at the Bridge. So yeah, man, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I'll be honest. That's kind of mad. I think if I was him, I wouldn't even bother. Chelsea, is this approach willing? This approach will disadvantage the players' growth. And do you think the next manager needs more time than Poch? And I think, yeah, of course. In my opinion, young talent does not grow or flourish in unstable environments. I've always said this, and this is why I take no joy from this, because I personally don't think it is a good methodology of improving young players. They need stability, they need balance, they need leadership and inspirational people around them to learn off in training. As I've said before, players learn from players. Who do you think taught Bellingham the outside the right boot, pass? Do you think it was Ancelotti, or do you think it was Luka Modric? You can make your own judgment. I know who I think it is. My point is that, young talent, in my opinion, cannot reach its high potential, its full potential, by going through manager after manager, potential system after system, upheaval after upheaval, coaching staff coming in, coming out, medical staff coming in, coming out. And this is why I don't like to see us signing too many young players, because they can't handle the level of upheaval that we're throwing at them. They can't, and yeah, the proof's in the puds, as they say. It's not been a very successful period for us so far, and I don't think next season is necessarily looking very successful either. Fabrizio said, "Young manager, can't you read?" That's exactly what I said. Young manager, young, inexperienced. Yeah, same thing. 5 managers, including a Champions League winner in 2 years, and you think they'll magically choose the correct manager this time around? Board directors are a joke. Yeah, I don't think anybody should have a whole heap of confidence in who they're going to select next. I certainly don't. If we're not getting a top manager, this is pointless. I think I've said this too. Yeah, a lot of us are saying the same stuff. You want to know that if you're getting rid of someone, you're not ever going to get guarantees in this sport, but you want to know that you're going up a level, and the shortlist we're bringing to the table doesn't necessarily give us that. Look at the way that Bayern Munich are floundering right now for a manager. Like, I hope we don't start doing that, because one thing I don't want, the only way this can be worse is if I see us going for options A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all vote now. Like, this is not a game show. Do you know what I'm saying? If we are sacking and we have mutual consent or whatever you want to call it, you better have a name in mind. It better be lined up and it better be agreed. And I better see it announced in a very professional, clear, and concise manner. Do not have my club looking like Bayern Munich, getting rejected by this person, rejected by that person, rejected by that person. Oh, no. This is not no Mickey Mouse shit. If you are making this decision, I am assuming that you have got your shit lined up. And that's why I mentioned De Zerbi at the start of the show, because someone has paid his compensation according to reports. Someone has paid his release clause, and it's either us, in my opinion, or it's Manchester United now. One of those two clubs have paid for something. Because he wants to stay in the Premier League. I know people were linking him to Italy, but I think he said he wants to stay in the Premier League. Brentford set piece coach fills in the blanks. And listen, I'm not going to say Thomas Frank and set piece coach. I personally don't think that's the case. But the fact that De Zerbi announced, and they announced together before the last game of the season, that he is leaving, it tells me that De Zerbi has a job lined up. It tells me that De Zerbi is going somewhere in the Premier League. And there's only two clubs looking for managers at a highish level. They're still underperforming both these clubs, but you know, you get my drift. So we're going to find out. Glad he's gone. Villa got into top 4 and they don't have a better squad than us. He knew the objective and failed. We sacked better coaches than him. Chelsea want a manager of possession-based brand of football, able to mount their squad into being able to control matches and also remain defensively stable. Listen, I don't think that's wrong. I think that's exactly what they should be looking for, because that's the team they've built. That's exactly the team they built. You know, Enzo and Caicedo is not a up and down, Gengen pressing, rock and roll, you know, team. That is a team that should be able to keep the ball, pass the ball, and really slap teams off the park in possession. If you're not doing that, which we haven't been doing this season, and we haven't had control of games for a lot of most of the games, right? 85-90% of the games, then that is a problem, and that's why we've always kind of questioned the midfield match with the manager. And I always said in the back end of the season, if it is Pochettino versus Enzo Fernandez, Pochettino is going to lose. You guys will remember me saying that multiple times. If it's Pochettino versus Enzo Fernandez, Pochettino is going to lose that fight. If you are not getting the best out of players that cost 100 upwards million that the club have invested in to play a certain brand of football, if you are not adapting yourselves, or you're not adapting your style or your system to those players to get the best out of those, you are not going to survive. You are not going to survive getting the best out of Conor Gallagher, who is running out of contract, who is looking like being sold for profit, and not getting the best out of Enzo Fernandez and win. You are not going to win. You are not going to win that fight. So this doesn't come as a shock. You're not going to win that fight. I said that before. This guy has signed on for a long deal. He is one of the players that is seen as the golden goose. He is seen as, you know, one of the pieces of the puzzle at Chelsea. He's seen as one of the guys. There's a reason why they flew, you know, to Rui Costa's office to get that deal done on deadline day. They're not going to, you know, we all know that one thing we do know about this ownership and this board is they are stubborn. Since the recruitment team has been formed, they're not going to budge right now, at least, right? They are very headstrong and confident in the way they're going about it, and the plan and the process and the phases and the steps. So Enzo Fernandez, who was signed last January, not last January, the January before, 18 months ago, is not suddenly going to become a bit part player at Chelsea. He's not going to become a rotational player, regardless of results. Regardless of results. People might not like to hear that, but that's the facts. Politics plays a part in football and team selection. The manager has come out previously, the former manager, Pochettino, has come out and said, sometimes I have to pick teams based upon names and not based upon maybe merit. That's life in football. People try to pretend all the time that the best will make it. And, you know, whoever performs the best is going to play the most. Absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. It's never been true. It never will be true. If an asset comes into the club for a huge amount of money, and they are seen as the fulcrum and the epicenter of the team, they have to be used, and you have to get the best out of them. You have to get the best out of them. Otherwise, that asset is going to depreciate. I don't want to talk about players like this because they are people, but I'm just going to be business mind right now. This asset is going to depreciate and it's going to lose value. And if I'm picking between two assets, one that cost 115 million, let's just say Caicedo, versus the one that didn't cost anything from Cobham, one of these assets are going to depreciate. I'm going to pick fucking Amando Broja before I pick Caicedo, because I'm not trying to lose money and lose value on this stock. And this one didn't cost me anything, and I'm going to sell it for pure profit regardless. So you were never going to get away with building your team around Conor Gallagher and players that the board are happy to sell and have been trying to sell over Enzo Fernandez. And it was always that battle between the two. And when Enzo Fernandez comes out of the team, and people will say, right, well, that's the reason we're winning, because Enzo Fernandez is shit. I don't agree. I think he's going to be a class player. You know that. I rate him very highly. However, if people want to run with that, just for instance, if you believe that to be the case, it doesn't matter anyway, because you're not going anywhere without using a player like that, a player that has been spent, you know, on who's come in for that amount of money. You are not going to get away with that. So your results, whilst he's away, that's short term, but medium and long term, when he's back, he comes straight back into the team, whether you like it or not. And that's just the case. It's the facts. You don't have to, you know, you might not like it, but this is the facts. This is the honest God facts. That's just how it goes. That really is just how it goes. That's just how it goes. God is good, Robert. The man ain't even thanked the fans on his way out. He thanked the owners and the SDs only. Wishing him all the best, but we move. Keep the blue flag flying high. I don't know the reason as to why he didn't do a lap of honor or whatever it was meant to be. I think he went straight down the tunnel. We didn't even get coverage because obviously all channels just wanted to show Manchester City lifting the title. I don't know why they did that, because I'll be honest, you know, we have other things that we might want to watch. You can just put that on the one channel. If you wanted to watch that, we can flick to it. We don't need to. You don't need to literally override all of the TV footage. But hey, so I didn't really get to see what happened. But yeah, if you think City Group is gonna let Mikel go to us, you're crazy. Amarim and Gagaraya's combo inbound. Don't think so personally. Every time we've been linked with that striker, it's been shut down and said we're not actually that interested. So I don't think I mean, maybe it will happen, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Didn't you hear Poch get sacked so 10 Buddy can come to the bridge and Tommy Tuchel? Oh, no, it's not going to happen. That is one thing that's not going to happen, is Thomas Tuchel and Ten Hag is not going to be going to those two clubs like in that order. It's not going to be going on like that. So thank you very much for that. Xavi, yes or no? No, I don't think so. I think with managers like Xavi and even maybe to some degree Arteta, definitely you can say these managers, they're at clubs where their playing career is bringing weight to the table before they've arrived. It's the equivalent of us having Lampard in his first stint, where he actually did a decent job. Of course, he got us top four with a Cobham squad, and then obviously the wheels fell off. The stock that these managers have at clubs in their playing career is playing a important enough part in their managerial career for you have to take that into account. You can't. Xavi don't even like Chelsea. Chelsea don't even like Xavi. Like, there's history there. There's beef there. We battled against Barcelona. Are you going to be able to translate those intangibles to Chelsea that you have at Barca? I personally don't think so. And yeah, he's not our legend, you know? So for me, it doesn't really even make sense. It doesn't really make sense. Can we create a petition or something to get TT back? I'll be honest, I ain't never seen a petition work. I ain't never seen a football petition work. I see people who are doing petitions all the time for different things. Stop Anthony Taylor from refereeing our games. Never works. So it's really just for likes and retweets. I'll be honest, whoever makes those, they never actually do the job. You think Parliament is going to discuss that? Come on now. That's what the petition is for, to get discussed in Parliament. You think Parliament is going to discuss whether we should bring Thomas Tuchel back? These are the men that took our money from the fucking ownership change and they still ain't released the funds. You think these men give a shit about us? You must be crazy. That does not get brought up in Parliament, brother. That's not what Parliament's for. They basically want a Xavi profile. Why is it not under consideration? Because he's already won a title and they have a virginity fetish, brother. Yeah, I mean, he might be too experienced. Yes, I'll be honest. He might be too experienced for them. Unai Emery would be a solid option. Not going to happen. Absolutely zero chance. Did you and Goonie know, because he tweeted Almerim an hour ago before the sacking? Lewis is bouncing around like a Meg the Stallion. Did I know? No. I knew that the news was going to come out today or tomorrow. I think everybody knew that because that was the report. I didn't feel comfortable with him keeping the job, which is why we discussed it in the morning, and we were talking about the situation, because I didn't think that it was looking good for him. But I didn't know he was going to be sacked or leave on mutual consent. I had a bad feeling for him, but again, we move. He doesn't even crack top. I mean, we've had so many managers. I don't think he even cracks top 10 for us, does he? In terms of, no, he doesn't even crack top 10. So, yeah, we really do obviously move, but I don't take any satisfaction out of it. That's for sure. Kieran McKenna is very good. Please open your mind. Listen, if he comes in, I'm gonna back him. You know how I am. Any manager, any player that comes in, regardless of my preconceived thoughts, I always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll judge them on the job that they do at Chelsea. And if I want someone in and they don't do their job, I still criticize them, and I may even turn on them, right? Because I'm just not gonna sit here and lie to you and try to be strong and wrong. If I wanted something and then I see it's going very wrong and not the way I anticipated, and he's doing things that I didn't expect him to do, then I'm just going to say, fuck, I fucked up. But Kieran McKenna, I personally just think the jump is very, very big. For instance, Cesc Fabregas, right? I think it's a future potential coach that I'm certainly hoping he has an incredible coaching career, because I would love to have him at Chelsea in the future if everything is going in the trajectory it needs to go in. But you cannot underestimate the jump from Ipswich to Chelsea. I can't articulate the pressure that you have as a manager at this club in comparison. I know he's gone up from League One. I know he's gone up through Championship. I know players can go through those leagues. But as a manager, to make that jump is absolutely astronomical. I can't articulate this to you more. It's not just about having the idea and the way of playing on paper. There's so many intangibles that come along with this type of job. Otherwise, we could just see somebody playing a system in League Two and they're playing extravagant, incredible football. And then what would be the case for why you can't get someone from League Two to come into the Premier League? And just, if it's just about the system, if it's just about playing good football, if I demonstrate good football to you in League Two, then what's to stop me from getting the job in the Premier League? What is the difference? Same pitch size, same goals, same game, same rules. Why can't I just make the jump from League Two? Don't work like that. And I don't think it should work like that. Like, this is Chelsea Football Club. Earn the job. Like, you should have to have credibility when you come in through the door. You should have to have a CV of accomplishments that are close to what we're trying to achieve. When did the Chelsea job just become Russian roulette, where it's just red or black? Just do a little spinny spin and whoever gets it, gets it. Like, can we please respect our football club? You don't just get this job. You have to earn this job. Like, this job is, as much as people will laugh at Pochettino actually had a little bit of credibility behind his name coming into this job in terms of managing at PSG, winning a title there. Of course, everybody does it, but it still has to be done. Bayern Munich didn't win this year, right? So you can always flop a league. Lille have won the league before in France. At least at Tottenham, he had achieved a team that had 80 points plus, had got to a Champions League final, things that we were trying to get ourselves to do. Not winning, not winning, but at least could have been a bridge. You would have hoped he would have been the man that takes you from A to B before you go to C. That maybe the Ranieri before the Mourinho was mentioned earlier today, which is at least what you would have wanted. Experience managing big players, managing big clubs, expectation, pressure, being able to make split decisions under pressure, in-game management, man management, development of players, and they have to actually listen to him. There's so much going on there. If he comes in and he actually does an incredible job, then that is going to be one of the most incredible finds, or one of the most incredible risks that worked in modern football history. I'll be telling you that now. If they pull him out of Ipswich and he actually manages to come here and do a stellar job, then that will be one of the most incredible feats from ownerships out there, because that is such a crazy jump. It's insane how big that jump is. It's actually mad. What's going to piss me off? Because remember when Lampard did it with Derby, Lampard had the legendary status. He had all of the intangibles that would go in his favor and give him the Chelsea backing and the fans backing. He had all of that. McKenna doesn't have any of that. So you're literally just going off of him as a manager. You're not going off any emotional ties. You're not going off of any legendary status, similar to Xavi, where you could say, right, his legendary status could be playing a part at Barca as well. These intangibles are important. If you don't even have that, then damn, you better be on your P's and Q's when it comes to your team system, man. There better be some serious shit that we ain't seen before. What's going to piss me off is that if we start trying to sign players before we have a manager, this board is all over the place. Everything runs backwards. Do you know what? At this point, when you've signed this many players without the say so, or I guess the manager did have to veto it, but it seems like the managers were going to have to veto it. Otherwise, why would they be in the job, right? And they have to go along with it. We've signed so many players without necessarily doing it for a manager. At this point, I don't think it even matters. Whoever's coming in, they're going to have to get with the program. And the program is, I'm going to buy the players and you're going to coach them. And you ain't going to have no say and no influence on the players I'm buying. I don't even really care what position you need. I'll be honest. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if the starter that you like this year is leaving next year. You better take the player I'm giving you in replacement and shut the hell up. So, I'll be real. It's gone past the point of me even thinking about players coming in before managers, because we've been doing that anyway. So at this point, what difference does it make for the next manager? It's not going to be their players anyway. De Zerbi's not on the list. McKenna all the way. Who's telling you De Zerbi's not on the list? Carefree Lewis is crying right now. Crying tears of joy. Possible for Clear Lake to leave by mutual consent. One thing I will say, I haven't said yet. If by any chance we bring in a manager with very little credibility at this level, a big risk, and like I said, if McKenna comes in, I'll support him, of course. But he is one of those people that would be deemed as a massive, fat risk, a bombastic risk, drastic risk. If you bring in said manager like that and they don't finish, if they take the team down from 6th to 7th or from 7th to 8th, let me tell you now, let me make it so fucking clear. If this team drops back down the table, and I mean even by one fucking position, and we don't make progress, oh my God. If I am sitting here on these watch-alongs and we are in 10th and we are in 9th and we are in 12th, I'm telling you, all hell is going to break loose. You will not even bloody believe it. I'm telling you, do not for a second think that you can put me back in mid-table again next season. Whatever you are doing, you better get it right. You better get this managerial appointment right. If I find myself on page 2, if I find myself in 9th, in 10th, competing for Conference League, I don't even know. I don't even know what I'll do. I'm telling you, because that will just be an indictment. That will just be unbelievable. At that point, Pochettino will have won. He would have won. I'll be real. He would have won. He would have won. He could really write a book and people will buy it. by the batches. I'm telling you, if we drop after this decision, they put themselves under so much pressure. This board, they've put themselves under so much pressure. I really, really hope they get this next appointment right, because if they do not, and we drop down this table again, and we start to see links for our key players like Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez, I'm telling you now, it will be uncomfortable, bruv. It will be very uncomfortable. So, they put a lot of pressure on themselves now, because you can't keep going through all these managers and blaming everybody but yourselves. That ain't gonna fly. I think this might be the last manager where everybody, never was really too fond of him. He was Spursy and he's not likable because maybe he doesn't, do that, and he doesn't really love the club, and he said he doesn't. So, you kind of got away with this one. I'll be real. You can get away with this one. This one's kind of easy. You do this again, hey, I even the biggest backers of Clear Lake Capital and Blues Co, even they will have to shut up now, because you just can't keep going through managers like this. This is a record turnover of managers. Even then, at that point now, these directors would be a point of minimum demotion, and I'm being very kind in saying that. I think demotion is putting it politely. You cannot be sporting directors whilst appointing managers and getting them wrong continuously. It just can't run. You either have to go and do the Joe Shields maximum level of work of just going to watch games and scouting that way, and we bring in a whole new president or sporting director to run this shit, because this is really your last chance. I personally don't even feel comfortable with them picking the next manager. I don't even feel comfortable with the fact that they've been able to, terminate this by mutual consent and move on to the next. But it is the last one. It is your last one. It is for sure your last chance. You get this next one wrong, and there can not be any more question about who is going to be at fault for this demise. You will have to be held accountable. It won't even be optional. You'll have to be held accountable, because that can't run. That cannot run. TT was working when this structure wasn't in place, so Todd wanted his say, but now the structure is in place. Don't want any input, I think. Yeah, I mean, literally, I said it earlier that it's kind of ironic the way that it's kind of gone all full 60, 180. But 5K bet McKenna will be successful, brother. I'm not doing 5K bets, bro. Do you not think I'm a responsible grown adult that has like bills to pay? What do you think this is? What do you think this is? I ain't gambling my life away, bro. This is not what we do. This club shall not kill me. Daniel, you'll be surprised. Enzo has more coaches than EPL goals at Chelsea. Thank you for that, AA. Very much appreciated. We're cooked, mate. We've got to protest. They're running our club into the ground, says Tom. Thiago Silva is young and inexperienced. Can you imagine if Thiago Silva was the next manager? Oh, my days. This brother, he's not even finished his coaching badges. Can you imagine if you just saw Thiago Silva's been appointed the next manager of Chelsea, and he's just like, I told you it wasn't goodbye. It's not goodbye. See you next time. I don't know why I'm doing that accent. It's not how he speaks. Oh my God, that would be so fucking funny. Oh, Jesus. It now comes down to plain statistics. Surely there's no way we can get it wrong 5 times in a row. Even random coin flips have better odds. Brilliant super chat. Absolutely brilliant. Fucking shambles, mate. Fuck this project. Oh, dear me. Report stating that Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart will head the search for the next manager. Of course they will. Of course they will. They have full backing from the board, and that was the latest report. They have full backing from the board, and like I said, those two in particular are under a lot of pressure because they were appointed to oversee all footballing activities at Chelsea. And I think people forget the role of a sporting director. The role of a sporting director is not to only solely find talent and bring them in. That is only part of your job. The rest of your job is to run the footballing activities at the football club and do it to a high level. And that includes appointing, if you've been given that responsibility, appointing the correct managers for the players you are recruiting. If you are not doing that correctly, you are not doing your job. By definition, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. So when people say, oh, but they've built a really talented team for $1 billion, no shit. Of course they've built a talented team for $1 billion. I didn't expect them to bloody spunk it away and for me to be left with Gillabodgies and Steve Sidwells. I would have thought after spending $1 billion that I could count 7-8 players of talent. Excuse me. You know, I never understand this at this point. Oh, but they've built a talented team. Well, sure, fuck, they should have. Yeah, they spent $1 billion. Of course, they built a fucking talented team. If it wasn't talented, then I mean, what would they be doing? But you have to be able to mirror that with the manager. It's you know, hand in hand. You can't win with just players. You have to win with a manager. Your job is to make it align, to make it work. You've so far failed at your job. So, like I said, they are not doing their job by definition up until this point. They're just not. They're only doing part of their job. I don't even know what percentage I want to even put it at, to be honest, but it's not the full job. So I don't know why these guys get so much credit. I'll be so honest. I don't know why these guys get so much credit. We are not winning trophies yet. We are not even in the top 4 yet. So why are they getting so much credit? I'll tell you why. Because they're selling you a dream. Now, hopefully the dream comes true. But at the moment, it's just theory. It's not proof. It's not paper. It's not physical. It's not tangible. It's just a dream. And because it's an exciting dream, and it's like, you know, we could have some of the best talents in the world, and that's all we've ever wanted, is to have the best players in the world, you know, because we never got your Neymars, or we never got your Ronaldos or your Messi. So this sounds so great in theory, but until it actually comes to fruition, they have not completed the mission statement. The mission statement, especially after spending that amount of money, is to take us to the top. I'm not trying to get into top 4 and stay there. I'm not trying to get to finals at Wembley and go home runners up. The mission statement is to win. If you are to improve upon what Roman did, that is going to be a very difficult task, but you first actually need to pick up something first. Your first trophy you need to collect. And until you do that, you are not passing any check. You're not passing any checks. You're not passing any checks. You're just not. So let's see. You know, it's very high risk. I said the same thing last transfer window. And the more windows we go in and the more times they keep buying these type of players, the higher risk it just becomes, because it's just more money going out the door. And I know they're all assets and whatnot, but it's you know, it's very high risk strategy. And I'm not even going to say high reward yet. I'm going to say high risk, and I'm dropping that to a medium reward because I'm not going to lie. This strategy is crazy, man. It ain't never been done before. Didn't think Poch was right in the long term, but I'm fuming. They'll now go and sign a nobody from Ipswich, slowly turning us into a feeder club. It's the same manager that Brighton are trying to bring in as well. It's very ironic. It's time to move on as fans, to start hurting them bad. Target the wallet. Don't buy tickets anymore. Jerseys. They got for the super chat. What is Alonso's CV before Bayer Leverkusen? We're not Bayer Leverkusen. People have got to stop comparing us to underdogs. It really annoys me. People have got to stop comparing us to underdogs. Underdogs are underdogs for a reason. It's because they don't have fucking money. They're not spending £1 billion. I'm sorry to swear, Frank. I love you, Frank. But I'm not even targeting you. I'm just talking because the point you've made is something that 100, 200 people have said, and it just jars me. So I'm just laying it all out on the table. This is a family. This is a community. We can talk to each other like this. We're friends. It just irks me so much, Frank. You can't spend $1 billion and do the sob story. You can't spend $1 billion and do the underdog story. We are not Bayer Leverkusen, who won their first title ever, I think. We are not Leicester City. Can people get that very clear? Please. We are not underdogs. We are the record spenders in footballing history. No one has spent how much we've spent in this period of time. We are not underdogs. We're just not. So the reason why these managers, we can look at them and say, wow, that worked, is because there was never expectation in the beginning. So with no expectation comes time. And with time comes miracles sometimes, because it's a miracle. But let me be very clear. The pressure at Bayer Leverkusen and the pressure at Chelsea is not the same. And that's why managers have to come into this job with a little bit of credibility, and they have to have experienced the pressure before, because otherwise what is built over there cannot be built over here. The best analogy I can use is the landscape is not the same. If I'm going to build a house and I'm going to build two houses, Bayer Leverkusen is building a house on flat land. Easy, because there's no expectation. So if you don't build the house, it doesn't matter. Someone else will build it, or they'll try to build it. But if you do, then obviously everybody sees. It's like the analogy of the soil. Nobody sees the what goes on underneath the floor. No one sees the soil. They always see the flower, right? And nobody sees the soil. Chelsea is a house on a hill. It's far more difficult because there's pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and it takes experience to build a house on a hill. Building a house on flat land, people build houses all the time. You know, they'll build it themselves. They'll do it. It'll take them a long time, but they'll do it themselves. But to build a house on a hill takes experience. But the reason why you're on that hill in the first place is because you can see over 99% of clubs. You're not on the ground. You're not on flat land. You are on a hill. You are on a pedestal. You can see over the neighborhood. So therefore, yes, it is more difficult, but you should have more experience to do that. You should have more, experience building houses on hills. I don't know if that's making sense to you, but my point is, I just don't like comparisons with clubs that don't have money versus clubs that have a whole heap of money, with clubs that don't have winning history and clubs that do. If you have more money and more resources, you should have higher quality, and you should therefore have a higher chance of winning. That is, if you don't, then you're not spending the money correctly. You know? We are on a hill, bro. We're on a hill. Man said Peppa Pig. But yeah, listen, we could get lucky and find someone that has no CV, and has never accomplished anything, and then they just light it up. But the chances of them lighting it up is like 1 in 100, and the chances that someone with no CV doesn't light it up is 99 times out of 100. Because for every one Alonso, I can point to you 10 Gary Nevilles, 100 Thierry Henrys, and 100 Roy Keanes. So, like I said, people always see the flowers, but they don't see all of the upkeep, the maintenance, and they don't see what happens below the floorboard, and all them petals that never rose, bro. All them petals that never rose, no one talks about. So, we can talk about the one-offs and the guys that have appeared out of nowhere, but the norm is not that, bro. The norm is not that, bro. That's not the norm. Most young managers, they don't win a title and go unbeaten in the whole campaign. There's 100,000 Wayne Rooneys, bro. And listen, the only way to put this to the test is if you're willing to go down that route, just bring in Cesc Fabregas right now. Why not? He just got promoted, right? Second division of Serie A, was it? Or third division? I think it was second division. Second division of Serie A. He's going into Serie A. Just bring in, if you're willing to put that, if you're willing to risk it, just go and get Cesc Fabregas right now. Because at least he's got intangibles with the fans. At least he used to play for this club. So maybe he'll get a bit more time and a bit more love. Just go and get Fabregas. If you truly want to take that level of risk, then you should just be able to go and get Cesc Fabregas right now. Forget him proving himself, or forget him going up the ranks in a slower, more methodical way. Just bring him in now. And if we just bring him in now, then sink or swim, Just honestly, that is the only way I can just bring in Cesc Fabregas right now, bro. Because at least I already know that guy. And I know our players know him. He was just at our training ground a couple of days ago. Cesc Fabregas was literally at our training ground a couple of days ago. He was out here handshaking, spudding up people. Bring Cesc Fabregas to Chelsea today. Bring. If we're down for rolling the dice, if we're down for not letting people grow, Steven Gerrard from Rangers going to Aston Villa, dragging them to a relegation battle for Emery to come and save his ass. If we're willing to take that risk with our football club, then bring in Cesc Fabregas. Just bring him in. Why not? People who want McKenna aren't serious. The guy is Ollie's assistant. Arteta was learning from Pep. Still didn't win much. McKenna would get you top 4. Book it. Not just dropping. If the next manager doesn't give us top 4, it's over. We've moved from 12th to 6th. 19 plus points with Poch's trajectory was top 4 next season. Yeah, the demand and the expectation from Poch next season would have been you get top 4 and you win a trophy, minimum one. Europa League would have been my preference. FA Cup, Carabao Cup. I don't think any teams drop in from the Champions League. Obviously, in the FA Cup and Carabao, you can get Man City in both those games, and then you are underdogs to a degree, even though it is a cup game. So you still need to always aim to go through. But there can always be context to cup runs. You could play all easy teams, or you could play really, really difficult teams. But in the Europa League, there is a certain level of team that you're going to be playing because it's guaranteed. There's no dropouts, and you need to go and win that competition. The expectation would have been top 4 and to win the Europa League, you know? Yeah, it's mad, bro. It's mad. Like I said, it's one of those situations with a lot of there's a lot to it. It's a very complicated situation, but this season finished with 63 points. Last season was a travesty to everybody involved. My condolences to all Chelsea fans for that. 44 points, 38 goals scored in 38 games. What the heck did we go through last season? For context, Burnley this season scored more goals than Chelsea last season. Just let that sink in. Last season was a travesty. 38 goals scored. Burnley scored 41 this season. Don't even ask me about Luton because they scored 52. Cleared us last season. Last season was the pits of hell, if I've ever seen it. An absolute disgrace, an abomination to football. I tell you that for free. Shocking, disgraceful season. This season, not good, but I can stomach it in the end, thanks to the 5 wins at the end. But I was dangerously close to the line. I'll be real. 63 points. 21-22 season, 74 points. Season before that, 67 points. Chelsea in 2020-2021 season finished 4th with 67 points. Chelsea this season finished on 63 points. It's mad. 66 points in 1920 and 72 points the season before that. And 70 points the season before that. So, yeah, 60-something points to low 70s is kind of what we've been doing. Mid 60s to low 70s is our average. We've not had more than 74 points since we won the title with 93 points. So as much as it has been a madness, I say about 2 wins, 4 points. Unfortunately, I don't say that to defend Poch. I say that unfortunately, 2 wins from Burnley and Sheffield United gives us roughly what our average points has been over the last 6 years. 4 points gives us 67 points, which puts us in 5th. 1 point above Tottenham, 1 point below Villa. 67 points. This is roughly what we tend to do. And sometimes it gets you top 4 in 2 seasons out of the last 4. And sometimes it gets you 5th. Yeah, apples and oranges. Depends on coefficient points as well. Sometimes fifth will maybe get you Champions League in this country. It's crazy. But that's mad. That is mad. And it's still not good enough. Facts. Because nobody wants 67 points or 68 points, 69 points, 70 points. People want to win leagues. That's what we're here for. We want to win leagues. And they wanted Ange. Yeah, they did want Ange. Don't worry, we will be there at United and Chelsea 11th and 12th. You're not getting top 4, bro. Thanks, Joe. You can't just move them on. Look at the Glazers. Do we trust these directors to run Chelsea? Sad. Ownership managed Chelsea like NBA team. You're is that a word? Or am I just really tired? In the footy social spaces, and any manager that makes you guys like the last 2 seasons so I can drink your tears, I'm here for it. Oh, sorry. It's because you didn't separate the words. You have to be delicate today. I'm very, very tired. Arch enemy. Yes, now I get what you're saying because you didn't separate it. But yeah, arch enemy. Yeah, I know that, LG Brown. I know that. You are always in all chats and always sending in super chats, cussing the crap out of me. So yeah, I know. Why would Fabregas come to Chelsea? Big opportunity. Massive jump up. You have the opportunity to, I don't know, potentially save Chelsea. If you dare to risk your career, we open arms to you, brother. If you dare to take the risk with your career, welcome. Welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage. If we get Sebastian, we feast. Listen, I'm not knocking it because the guy finished second in the Bundesliga. That is an incredible achievement. I must now do my homework on him. I wasn't expecting to have to do this, but you know, I should have expected it. So yeah, let me start doing some homework on these people. But I'm gonna watch a lot of Stuttgart today. But yeah, man. I mean, listen, I am not knocking it. I am not knocking it. The guy is second in the Bundesliga. We do not have a plethora of options available to us. We do not have every single manager opening their arms to us. We will potentially have to go for a manager like this. It is a risk, but you know, what is done is done. Love your work, ethic Matt. This fan base wanted Poch out for 7 months, so everyone needs to stop crying too. Why don't they go for Nagelsmann? Nagelsmann is not going to come in because we already failed to negotiate and agree with him last summer, and he was also signed a new deal with Germany. I think a lot of people forgetting this with Nagelsmann. He's already signed a new deal with Germany to go to the World Cup. He is not going to be managing a club and country simultaneously. I can't remember the last time that actually happened. I know it happens on a football manager, but it won't be happening here. Michael Sanchez, sorry, from Girona. They are also young. I wouldn't be surprised if we look to him, but he is part of the City group, and I'm sure potentially Man City will want to keep him in that group. I don't trust this, but then again, they didn't keep Patrick Vieira, who's now at Strasbourg, so you never know. I don't trust his ownership. They want a yes man as manager who lets them sell Gallagher and Chalobah and fucking buy 18-year-olds. We are finished. We are finished. Oh, God. Who's exhausted? Is it just me? I'm exhausted. The season's over. We're meant to be calming down. We're meant to be toning it down. We're meant to be bringing the temperature in the room down. And it feels like it's cranking up. It feels like we're only just getting started for what is going to be an action-packed, absolutely insane summer of unknown quantities, unknown entities. It's just exhausting, but also worrying and confusing at the same time because I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I don't like not knowing. I would much, I appreciate that this model of sacking, hiring, firing brought us great success. However, I do believe that we were coming towards the end of that cycle of sacking managers and still profiting with trophies, because I think we saw towards the end of the Roman Abramovich era that the trophies were starting to tail off a little bit in terms of we weren't in a Premier League title race for 5 years or 4 years, right? We weren't in a Champions League semi-final from Mourinho losing to Courtois and Diego Costa's Atletico Madrid, all the way to Thomas Tuchel winning it. That whole period of time, we were never in a Champions League semi-final. Whereas previous, we were in Champions League semi-finals almost every year. We were in Premier League title races every year. So we knew that that was starting to fizzle out. We needed to make some adaptations. And I think it's very important we be honest with that, because we know that we weren't challenging for a Prem, right? We know we weren't challenging consistently for a Champions League. And we were still losing in the domestic cups, unfortunately, as well. That record started there. So we're thankful for that, but we needed to make some adaptations to that to have long-term sustained success, which is what Manchester City are having right now, and which is why they've done a 4-peat, something we've never done, we've never come close to doing, because they were able to bring in a manager of the level of Pep Guardiola, who, unfortunately, I think rejected us for the reasons that I've just outlined. So we were always going to have to go in a more sustainable, route. However, we're not going down that route right now. We're not doing that right now, and we're certainly not competing. We're not competing, and these sackings are not helping us get closer at the moment, and until we see otherwise. So it's I mean, where will Pochettino go next is the question some people are asking as well. Is he going to go to Bayern Munich? Is he going to go to Bayern Munich? It's a good question. I don't think so. I don't really know. I don't really know what Pochettino's thinking right now, because he's out of a job, and that kind of maybe is sudden to him. I don't know. I really don't know what he's thinking. Does he want to take a break? We have obviously decided by mutual consent to terminate his contract. Does that mean there's not going to be a payout, or have they reached some sort of compensation for him? Is he going to be paid off for the last year of his contract? If they've agreed a fee, does that mean that he is more willing to relax and take a break? Does he want to go straight into a job? Manchester United is potentially going to be on the cards as well. That's another manager that now Man United could potentially go for if they get rid of Ten Hag, especially if he loses the cup final to Manchester City in a really emphatic way. So I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot going on. Vincent Kompany was linked with the Bayern Munich job. Who would have saw that coming? Brother got relegated with Burnley and now is linked with a Bayern Munich job. Crazy. Like, Bayern Munich really are in serious shit right now. They are just all over the shop. Grizz was right. We are finished. Can't lie, says Kingsley. Get Gus Hiddink. Here we go. Gus Hiddink. Long gone are the days where we could count on Gus Hiddink to save us, man. That brother used to be able to turn up out of nowhere. He used to be sitting there in his rocking chair, just bopping up and down like this, just waiting for that call. And then the phone rings. He sees it's Roman Abramovich. He knows exactly what that means. He knows exactly what time it is. Takes the phone call. No problem. You need an FA Cup to finish off a disastrous season? No problem. You need stability? No problem. We will be there. Top 4, we will be there. We don't have that guy anymore. Roman Abramovich at least had his guy that he could turn to. He turned to him a couple of times. We don't have nobody. Who do we turn to when we're chaos? Who do we turn to when we're screwed? Who? Oh. Oh, people are asking for an emergency all-you-can-eat Chelsea. I'll try and line up a second all-you-can-eat Chelsea maybe for the latter part of the week, but obviously we just literally did a show this morning. We were never going to come back and do another one tonight. That would have been just absurd. Wow. Let's go to some... Okay, so people are telling me to check PYS's account because there's some sort of news coming out. If there's any news that I need to read, please do let me know. Vincent Kompany is not thought to be of interest to Chelsea at this time, according to Matt Law. Senior players at Chelsea are very sad to see Pochettino go. Names linked reliably since statement: Kieran McKenna, Thomas Frank, Eddie Howe, I think it's Mikel Sanchez. I think that's the person on that list. Enzo Macalera. Is it Marcela? I'm not sure. And obviously the Stuttgart manager is there as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that other guy is there. I'll be real. I'm not sure who that is. I'm gonna have to Google him. I'm gonna have to Google that guy. I'm not sure who that guy is. Pochettino told Todd Boehly on a phone call that he felt the situation might further deteriorate if he stayed. Chelsea did not see Pochettino as a strategic fit. Well, if he's the one that's cut the cord and he's the one that's left on his own accord, then I think we have to say credit to Pochettino. I know he's not liked, but I think we have to say credit. Because if he's decided on his own accord, which means he's not looking for the payout, and he's decided he's going to leave and walk on his own accord, which means he's not going to stay until he's sacked, and he's not going to wait until he's left, and he's not going to even let his ego get in the way. He's actually just going to say, do you know what? I'm going to go, because if you guys don't strategically align with me, then why should we continue to play this game? Let's just call it quits. I respect that. I'll be honest. It's the second time I'm saying it, but I respect it. I respect him not faking the love with our fan base and trying to, pat the badge and do all of that. Obviously, I would prefer a manager that actually loved working with the club and loved the club. But I respect the fact that he's not going to fake it and he wanted to build something genuine. And I respect the fact that if he has decided to make that phone call and say, do you know what? Okay, if we can't agree, then I'm just going to just call it quits. I think that's a very respectful, honorable thing to do. Chelsea have discussed Eddie Howe, says Ben Jacobs. Thomas Frank has been discussed internally, says Fabrizio Romano. If he came in, Thomas Frank, I have to choose my words carefully. Yeah. I'm trying to not get cancelled. If we this, we want to build a team that's possession based. We want to keep the ball. And we're talking about, listen. We cannot, under any circumstances, it just can't happen. We cannot have Thomas Frank as our manager. I'm sorry. I'm all for ideas, but this is not one of them. I'm not even gonna understand where anyone's coming from on this one. I'll be real. This is just a non-negotiable. It cannot run. We're talking about possession. We're talking about Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo being managed by Thomas Frank. You'd have to be sick in the head to make that decision. You'd have to be sick in the head to make that appointment. That would be the announcement that drives me batshit crazy. I'll be honest. That would be the announcement that drives me into insanity. That would be the announcement where you start to question my mental health and my mental well-being. And you don't need to question it. I can tell you in advance, it would be fucked. Absolutely fucked. Thomas Frank? Thomas Frank? Get out of here, man. The fact that that's even a report, and I have to take it credibly and seriously because it's come from Fabrizio Romano, the kingpin. The fact that, and I said this a few months ago, why is this short list of managers all playing different styles of football? Surely, if you're building a wider, and this is where, Sir Robert, if you're watching, we're going to speak on playback later. This is where, if you're building an identity and a culture and a style as sporting directors, that is your job. Not to just sign 17-year-old Brazilians. And this is what makes me think that they're more suited to just staying as scouts, which is what they were doing in their previous roles, than actually running an entire football institution and controlling all footballing activities. Because what people don't understand is that at Brighton, Tony Bloom calls the shots. It's not Paul Winstanley. And at Monaco, it wasn't Lawrence Stewart. So when we're talking about building a team and mirroring it with the manager, we have to make sure that it makes sense. So I shouldn't be seeing links to Thomas Frank. I shouldn't be seeing links to managers that play different types of football. In the same shortlist, there should not be De Zerbi, Thomas Frank, and Eddie Howe. That doesn't make any sense. All of the managers on the list should play the similar style of football, have similar principles, ideologies, methodology. If they don't, then what are we doing here? Another analogy. Hopefully this one sticks. This is the equivalent of me running a tech company and needing an engineer, a software, and I need a software engineer. And I am putting out adverts on Indeed and LinkedIn, and I'm looking for a software engineer. I'm looking for a software engineer, guys. Please state your qualifications. I need a software engineer. And then some brother who works in McDonald's pulls up to the interview and tells me that he's been flipping burgers and frying fries for 10 years at McDonald's, and that is why he is ready to be a software engineer. It doesn't make any sense. You don't have the qualifications. You don't have the facilities for that, big man. Please step out of my office. I'm not saying that you're bad at flipping. I'm not saying you're bad at flipping the burgers. I'm sure you've done a stellar job at the McDonald's branch in Brixton. However, that is not what I'm asking for you to do in this job. So you can be a Sean Dyche and you can be a Thomas Frank and do a very good job. It's not a disrespect, but please do not bring your McDonald's CV into this Microsoft job. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Know your role, as Saeed says. Know your role. You know? I don't understand. I don't understand how this can happen. It doesn't make any sense. Chelsea want to build a Xabi Alonso type project. We are so fucking annoying, I swear. We don't want to build a Man City project. Oh, God forbid. God forbid we build a team that has been consistently winning. No. We want to do the underdog route. We want to be the one-time team. My God, we're inspired by Bayer Leverkusen. First, we were inspired by RB Leipzig and Salzburg. Then we were inspired by Brighton. And now we're inspired by Leverkusen. Fucking hell, we were inspired. We're always inspired by everybody, but the team in the fucking division that literally copied everything we did and then made it 10 times better and went on to do a fucking four-peat. Never have I seen this board or any report come out and say we're inspired by Manchester City, who have the best manager in the world, the best infrastructure, and the most dominant team in English football history. No, we don't need to be inspired by them. No. Chelsea will be really busy this summer. 1-2 centre-backs, maybe a goalkeeper and a striker. I'm so excited for Chelsea to be really busy. So they can make not just 5 signings, but 12. Let's make 12 signings, guys. Yeah. Let's blow up this damn transfer window again. Let's make 12 signings. Let's let go of 12 players. And let's rejig the squad. And then complain about a lack of continuity and chemistry and understanding and tactical instruction. Hey, listen, you idiots. We need to be calming down. You're meant to be just addressing the spine. You're meant to just be adding key players. I don't want to see another window of 7-8 players in the door. They were scared in January because FFP. Everybody was scared. Everybody was shaking, quivering in their boots. Nobody made a move in January. You didn't hear a whisper. You didn't hear a peep. And as soon as they passed the FFP, they just started going. As soon as FFP, Premier League, they lowered their sword. You know the meme? Lower your sword. As soon as they did that, all right, we're back now. Fuck up everything. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're so confused. What phase are we in? What phase are we in? Someone explain. When is this going to end? We spent $1 billion. And someone is going to tell me on playback tonight that we need to spend another $1 billion. We're not done. Oh, Ranieri retired, one less name for Chelsea to work through. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Obviously an Arsenal fan. To be honest, at this point, the Seattle Gunner. To be honest, at this point, every manager is linked. Of course, because this is the best time to get clicks, the best time to get traction. If you're talking Chelsea right now, you're absolutely caking it in. Apparently, the Sebastian Stuttgart manager is highly rated internally at Chelsea, but he's already said no to the Bayern job as he wants to stay at Stuttgart. So apparently, this manager that everybody's talking about from Stuttgart doesn't want to join anyone. He wants to stay at Stuttgart. Many Chelsea, we know the Chelsea players are surprised by the decision. He wanted a new contract that reflected a long-term project and wanted to say on transfers. Again, people will say you can't back a manager because they have to prove themselves. Now, under the Roman model, that is fair because Roman is not working on long-term. Roman Abramovich had never uttered the word project in his whole life. The only time he knew what a project was is when there was a building site going on and there was, contractors digging up holes and trying to build and trying to make buildings. This is the only project he is aware of. He is not aware of any projects in football. He's never said the word process in his life. He doesn't know what that is. So, under those circumstances, you can afford to be short-term because you are going to be given the opportunity to win now. And I'm going to back you. And if you don't, get out and on to the next. This doesn't fly for people who want to do long-term strategic building. You can't build long-term with short-term managers in and out the revolving door. That is a contradiction. You can't build long-term and have multiple managers in and out the door season after season. It's a contradiction. So, and especially when you're building a young team who needs stability and development. So, whilst people will say Pochettino did not prove himself at Chelsea, so how dare he ask for a new contract? I would say, why did you bring him in the first place if you didn't believe that he could at least do a medium-term job? The plan was never to bring in a manager to sack them 1 year into the job. Otherwise, you would never have hired them. When Liverpool hired Klopp, they didn't hire Klopp with the idea of sacking him after one season if things didn't go completely correct, because they actually believed in Klopp and they actually built the team for Klopp. This is the difference. We're not actually building anything with the vision of a certain manager in mind. We're just building and they're hoping that the people will come. So you don't hire someone with the intention to sack them. We do right now. We hire people and the intention is we'll sack them when we have a better, more interesting dream in 12 months and the next young up and coming manager pops up and we're interested in them. So this is the difference. And for me, it's not going to work. If you're going to bring in a manager, you have to make sure that you actually build the team in that manager's image to a degree. Now, I'm not saying that you bring in a manager with the opposite identity philosophy to the directors. No, the philosophy of the directors is meant to match the manager that they're bringing in. Everybody should be having the same idea and the same philosophy. Then you don't need to be doing the whole player switcheroo. But you should be building a team for a manager to coach. You're not building it for yourselves as sporting directors. You're not coaching the team. You're not managing the team. You're not making the substitutions. You're not picking the selection. You're not building the team for yourselves. You're building the team for the manager who is managing the team to win trophies. And you should all be in the same, thought process. I like this brand of football. You play that brand of football. We build the team for you. You take the team. Not I build the team for me. I want to have loads of talent and I want to show that I can find talent. And then you don't even play that way. So fuck you, but you still have to manage the team. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll sack you and move on to the next person who also doesn't know how to manage these players that I just brought in. That's lunacy. That's absolute insanity. It's insanity. It doesn't make any sense. It actually doesn't make any sense. It feels like they're building the team for them and they're just finding temporary people to manage it whilst they keep building it. I don't understand what's going on. I really don't. Cole Palmer's apparently posted. Let's see. Okay, let me just retweet something. Okay, guys. Sorry, my head is gone. I'm losing it today. Right, so let's see. People are tagging me and also I'm being tagged in so many things right now. I don't even know what's going on. Okay, let me show you this picture. Fuad has tagged me in something that I need you guys to see because it's actually hilarious. So let's just show this on screen. Oh my god. I'm being tagged in. I haven't even tweeted since the news broke. I said the first thing I'm doing is I'm coming onto YouTube live to talk to you guys. I'm not even thinking about Twitter. But this is what is going on. Oh my god. They got me and Maze out here, bruv. The worst Photoshop you'll ever see in your life, by the way. No, nothing. They're not even trying to do this properly. Oh my days. What kind of Photoshop is this? Oh my days. Oh god. People are telling me in that tweet that I need to get the belt out again. Okay, sorry. So what is going on Twitter? I'm just trying to make sense of everything. I need to take a deep breath because it's all so much. It's a lot is going on today. Mal wants Tuchel, but bound to get De Zerbi. Saeed wants De Zerbi, but bound to get Tuchel. That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Okay. Someone is telling me also in tags that strong info De Zerbi's in talks, but I don't know if the person's credible or anything. I'm just seeing that on the screen. Sorry. So what has Palmer? Is this on Instagram? What's Palmer said? Sorry. Because once I cover this in this stream, this is the sacking content. You know, after this, we're moving on to whoever the hell is coming in next. Lord Jesus. What are we 2 hours in? My God. Well, I know you guys are enjoying the drama, so we don't go anywhere. Bring in Ange. Make sure you smash up the likes and subscribe. I know I haven't said that, but much appreciated for the support. All the breaking news. We're just on the road to 90K, so yeah, much appreciated for the support as always. Is it on Instagram? I can't find him on Instagram. Oh, sorry, there it is. So, yeah, so Cole Palmer said, Gaffer, thank you for everything you have done for me and making my dreams come true. All the best. All the best. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. De Zerbi to the bridge will be hilarious. Prepare to get absolutely pasted away from home. And this is why I'm not flying the flag so much because, you know, he is extreme. And what tends to happen, we're going to go for about maybe 10, 15 more minutes. What time is it? What happens? What tends to happen is that when you don't have anything of something, you tend to want it and crave it more. You know, if you wasn't given sweets as a child, when you're an adult, you tend to want sweets even more. You know, it's you don't know what it tastes like, so you want to eat more of it. You know, you want to have that really rigid, extreme system because we haven't had it all season. It feels like there's been a lot more emphasis on just freedom and playing on instinct, and I don't think That's the worst thing in the world, because right now everybody obviously wants a system. And I remember this happened under Sari. You know, people thought they wanted a system until they saw the system, and then people said it was boring because everything was robotic and everything was on some sort of factory conveyor belt where each action leads to another action, and if it doesn't, then you have to start all over again and go. So people always say that they want a system until they get the system, and if the system hasn't clicked into gear in day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, then they get bored of the system. So I think in football it's nice to have a blend. You know, I think it's nice to have a system, but at the same time, I'd like you to be able to give the attackers the freedom to express themselves for individual quality, for individual skill, because that is also entertaining to watch. And I think if you shackle your players and you force them to play in a rigid, tight system where it doesn't leave much room for expression, especially in young players that are developing, you might not like exactly what you get in the outcome of that, because you know you're not necessarily going to win like Pep, so you're not going to win, and you're also potentially going to be a little bit bored. So defensively, I think there needs to be a massive structural change at this club, because what we did defensively was disgusting this season. We conceded a record goals in the Premier League. We were absolutely awful defensively from every single way possible, from set pieces, from open play, from wide areas, from every single way imaginable, cut up through the middle, sliced open, diced, fried, any which way you wish. We were absolutely destroyed defensively. So that needs to be improved. And whoever comes in and improves that is immediately going to be getting 1 foot up, because they need that. You build your teams based upon defense first and attack usually second. But you know, the attack has scored a lot of goals this season. You know, for all of the lack of system, goals were scored. You know, goals were scored. Now, obviously, people will say it's individual quality. Well, at a big club, we should have individual quality. I think that's a good thing. I don't think we should run away from having individual brilliance and individual quality. I think we don't have enough of it. I don't think there's enough people that can take a shot in the modern game from 20 yards, 25 yards and put it in the top corner. I think individual quality is a beautiful thing. I don't watch football to just have everything be robotic and have everything be prepped and planned like we're in some sort of kitchen. I would like to see some moments of, oh, I didn't think that would happen. I would like to see an Eden Hazard dribble past 3-4 players. That's not a system. That's individual quality. Why would we run from individual quality? Individual quality is what separates shit players from great players. There's a reason why the players that play at, you know, a low level don't play. There's a reason. Let me just call a spade a spade. There's a reason why you play for Sheffield United, and there's a reason why you don't play for Chelsea. It's because you don't have individual quality. So I don't want to run from individual quality. The more individual quality we have, the better, because that means I've got more people that can do something out of nothing when the system fails, because the system will fail. People always talk about the system when it's doing well, but you have to remember sometimes the system fails. And when the system fails, there's 2 things. There's either you have a backup system, which De Zerbi doesn't have, because he only plays, it seems to be, in this very extreme way, which is the one way, my way or no way. And it's very similar to maybe Ange this season as well, in a different way. But, you know, he played his way or no way until at the end of the season, he changed it up a little bit at the back end. And we've seen De Zerbi, he can be 2-3-0 down and he'll still keep flooding those passes through in that box build up. And I'm telling you now, you know, if we're being pressed to the living daylights and it's not working, that brother's still saying, yo, go, 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 go. Or individual brilliance. Either you've got a second system, a backup plan, or you've got individual brilliance. You know, the more options you have, the better. But I don't think individual brilliance is a bad thing. And I think, you know, there has to be balance. And I agree with you. Yeah, there has to be balance. I don't want to see a team that once the system caves in, we look hopeless and we look confused, because the opposition have figured us out. And now we have no way of playing football. Players are meant to think for themselves. Players are meant to have a feel for the game. You know, your footballers understand the game, play on instinct, be able to find solutions. It's not just about, I'm going to give you a book of instructions and you just need to memorize it like a test and then go and implicate it on the pitch. That might work sometimes, most of the time even, but I might need you to do something one day where the questions have changed on the paper. What we prepped for in class is not what the exam says. And now, do you have any brain cells to figure out the questions on the paper? or have you only revised for set questions that we thought were going to be in the mock exam? The mock exam, you're getting A stars. In the real exam, you're getting an F. Why is that? Why is that? So we need to have multiple options out here. And the reason why I don't reference Pep is because Pep doesn't have one way of playing. Pep has shown time after time that he has multiple ways of playing. He can go against Arsenal at the Etihad last season and play it long to Haaland, play off the front man like a Sean Dyche. He holds it down, chests it down, lay it off to De Bruyne, running behind and score on the counter. That is literally Sean Dyche. That is literally Thomas Frank at the Etihad with Ivan Toney and Buemo. That's direct. He ain't got no problem doing that if he has to. He's not stubborn in terms of playing just with the ball on the ground like that. He will switch it, and he's also the best manager ever. So De Zerbi's certainly not. Let's see. To be fair, with some of the current players, basically replicated our season with Brighton last year, 62, 6th this season. We had Europe. Europe-less, not a De Zerbi fan. Yeah, there's so many ways to look at it, man. I mean, De Zerbi this season, it wasn't great for him at Brighton, but obviously they had a lot of injuries as well. That has to be taken into consideration. Last year, they finished in a brilliant position of 6th. This season, they had European football. Their team was definitely not as good as the year before, losing the 2 midfielders. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance and context to everything, man. 100%. So, listen, whoever comes in, I'm always going to back them, and I'm going to give them the time of day, and I'm going to just judge them on what I see at Chelsea. That's just the be all and end all of it. I don't really care who wins at this club. Just someone please win. someone win. I don't really care who does it. You know what I mean? Like I'd obviously prefer it to be someone that likes the club, wants to be here, loves the club. But if it's someone that has to learn to love it, then go for it. I don't really care. Just bring us back to the top, please, as soon as you can. Because it's getting a bit mad. It's getting a bit mad. Switch to Chelsea women after we fail next season. Oh dear me. Well, I mean, even they're going to go through change, new manager and no Emma Hayes. So the whole club is changing. It's mad. Also, be ready for Arteta type antics on the sidelines from De Zerbi for Chelsea fans that cuss Arteta for it. To be fair with, sorry, so we already said this one. Much appreciated, Ken Berry, bro. Remember you from the byline. Big up. Lewis is acting wild on X. Please, he's hunting. Is he hunting? Yeah. Lewis is hunting. Yeah. I might get him over for a pod. I might message him and get him over for a pod at the studio and talk to him, and see if we can understand what he wants next. I'm actually quite, now that we have the conclusion, I'm actually really interested to see what people hope for next season now and what they want to see improved, because obviously there was a lot of problems this season. Pochettino will return to Stamford Bridge in 19 days for Soccer Aid. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. Pochettino has obviously liked Cole Palmer's post as well. Cucurella is shocked. Thanks for everything, mister. Good luck in the future. This is the last manager for the directors to hide behind. I'm just saying that on off rip. Yeah. This is the last manager for these directors to have shield them. Yeah. You're now exposed to the weather and all of the elements. You're exposed to the wind, the rain, the sun, the hailstone, the snow, everything, bro. Yeah. I wanna say that so clearly. You're right out there in the open, bro. I'm telling you. It really is just like that. It really is just like that now. Like, this is the last cover up. I personally don't feel right with it. I'll be real. I don't trust these men for the next appointment, but it's not about what I trust. It's about the general consensus, right? What's going to tip the majority over the edge for an absolute madness, carnage, right? And I really do think this is the last time they can do this. I really do. Who I want is not attainable. I'll be honest. I don't have a list of 5, 6 people that I want. I have one person, that I trust and that I want, and he's not attainable. So there's no point me asking for it. Right, we're gonna wrap up, I think, very soon. I think we're gonna wrap up now. But I think we've kind of said everything we have to say. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna put out a video. I'm gonna try and get some podcasts lined up with different people to discuss one-to-one the next steps for Chelsea. When the new manager gets announced, that will be another stream, another breaking news stream. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going on this journey again with you guys next season. It's gonna be a lot of drama. It's gonna be a lot of stress. But this is our club. This is what we do. So yeah, I much appreciate guys for the support. It's been a madness today. Appreciate everybody watching and tuning in. Let's just read this last one. RIP Chelsea 1905 to 2024. Big up, brother, for the super chat. And yeah, like I said, I'll try and get another All You Can Eat Chelsea done this week. I'll definitely ask the boys and get that sorted. I'm going to try and do some more podcasts now that the football season is pretty much finished. Get some guests lined up, Chelsea guests. Have these nice one-to-ones. I'll speak to Joey Knight off air, speak to Lewis, a couple of others as well. Try and get Goonie on as well for the next All You Can Eat Chelsea, so you guys can see Goonie. I'm going to try and bring you all the perspectives, all the opinions, all the plans that you want to hear, because I told you I don't know what the hell we do next. I really don't. So I'm gonna just chill. So I'm gonna just chill and host. I'm gonna just present the next week or so. So yeah, love and guidance. Appreciate it as always, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you do want to hear more thoughts, I will be on playback at 10 p.m. in 40 minutes. More Pochettino talk, but mainly from Chelsea fans who will be calling in. The link is in the description. The playback has always been there for the last month or so. We'll be doing a call in. I want to hear what the panel and some new people that come in, hopefully, to see what they got to say. I'm sure more stuff is going to come out as well, so we'll just speak on that as well. But yeah, that's going to be interesting from the panel. So yeah, big up your damn selves. Much love and guidance. Love you guys. Much appreciated. Peace. Come on, man.